This should be live. So, hello there, guys, and welcome back to the G-Force. Today, we are watching this Starlink mission fly to space. Got about T minus 4 minutes. I actually didn't have anything prepared, so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and watch this. So it looks like we are having strong backward track right now, which, for those that don't know, is basically, so you see that tall structure moving back right now? It's called the strong back, and it basically just holds the rocket whilst it's not about to launch. But when it's about to launch, there's some arms on it. Those arms will separate, and the rocket will move back. Or not the rocket, the strong back will move back, and that's called strong back retract. Also, you can see there, this is not LC39A, this is LC40. But look, they have built another crew terminal, which is really cool. So technically they could have two crew dragons on out there at the same time, ready for two crews to go up. So yeah, T minus 3 minutes before liftoff. I'm serious, that live counter down there just jumped from like 9,000 to 21,000 views like that. And if you don't know what that white smoke is, that is actually liquid oxygen coming out of vents and just boiling off into gaseous oxygen. So this rocket obviously has a propellant and an oxidizer. Now, this rocket uses RP1, which is like a highly refined kerosene, and the oxidizer is liquid oxygen. And those two mix together with a bit of ignition stuff, and it causes it to ignite and produce thrust. And what happens is that liquid oxygen is boiling off, and it's creating extra pressure in that tank. You don't want all that extra pressure, so you have to send it out of the rocket. And that's why you see those little gray clouds. That's why you see those little white clouds. And also, you may notice a little bit, why is that fairing look a little bit dirtier? Why does that nose cone look a little bit dirty? Well, SpaceX has the ability to reuse their nose cones. So that's what you can. So that's why that looks a little bit burnt there. So we're about a minute and a half before launch. I just realized I forgot to switch to my headphones, so I really don't even need these. So I'm just gonna take these off. And unfortunately, I did not set up my stream deck to allow me to do some like the desktop control and stuff. So we're not gonna get any engine audio this stream. So yeah, here we are, about T minus 1 minute, and it looks like we have reached startup, which means that the ground crews no longer have, well, they do have control, but they don't have, but the rocket has taken most of the control of the countdown. So if the rocket senses something wrong, it can choose to abort or it could choose to hold. And so yeah, that's what startup is. The rocket has taken control of itself and is ready to fly. So here we are in T minus 30 seconds. And since this is a Starlink launch, this will be a pretty quick stream as they don't really show anything past deploy. T minus 20 seconds. 15. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Engine ignition. And liftoff. How impressive. I tell you, when these things launch at night, that night gets turned into day. It's pretty impressive. Well, let's actually pull up the chat phone and see if anybody's chatting on here, which I doubt, because small channel here, don't get many chat messages, which is fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah, just as I thought. Alright, so we are quickly approaching max Q, which is the point where the rocket's under the most stress, and in that time, the rocket will shoot, what I'm trying to say. So basically, in this time, the rocket's going from subsonic, anything from Mach 0.85 and below, to Mach 1, supersonic. And there's a period in there called transonic where the drag gets absolutely crazy. And that's what max Q is. That's when the most pressure's on this rocket as it's trying to blast through that transonic zone. And a really good way you can tell that a Falcon 9 is going transonic is you can see what looks like a giant jet contrail out the back of the rocket. It's a telltale sign that it's going through max Q, and it happens every time. And it's not as visible at night as it is during the day, but you can still see it relatively well. Things are moving actually quite along. We are approaching MECO, which is main engine cutoff, where those 9 engines will cut off, and the 2 stages will separate, and the second stage will bring that batch of Starlink satellites to orbit. And I guess I ought to say something here. So Starlink, there are about 6,000 satellites up there right now, which I will admit is a lot of satellites for an internet network. But here's SpaceX's goal. They're going to put 12,000, but they plan to expand to 34,000 in the future. So yeah, so this launch means like nothing to the overall constellation. And there's MECO, and we shall stage step in a second. And there we go. And yeah, and there's second stage startup. And yeah, that's shoot, I just forgot what I was talking about. That's really bad on a stream, isn't that? anyways, let's go to move on. So actually, you can't really see in that video. I think the updated cameras don't show it as well. But in the older cameras, looks like we're about to come up on fairing separation, and there it is. On those older cameras, you could see like a kind of like an emeraldy green glow, and it looked really nice. So you can kind of see it, but it's not like the old cameras. The old cameras, you could see it super well, and it looks super nice. That was one of my favorite things about watching Falcon 9 night launches was that nice green glow on the tip of the flame. Just so you know, fun fact here, so what you see on that second stage burn, that's just like a tiny sliver of what that plume actually is. That plume is tens of miles wide. It's not small. I mean, nothing on this rocket's small. Falcon 9 is a big rocket. Or technically medium class, but it's still medium class means big rocket. But yeah, this rocket's actually really impressive. What it can do and all that. Looks like we're about halfway to entry burn here. And entry burn is where the rocket will ignite 3 of its 9 engines, or the first stage will ignite 3 of its 9 engines, so that it can slow down, so that it does not disintegrate on reentry. And I know I said this last stream, but if you haven't watched How Not to Land an Orbital Rocket Booster by SpaceX, it's great. You should watch it. It's every failure they had up until getting like one successful landing. And yeah, it's pretty funny actually. It's a great video. You should check it out if you can. Let's see here. Still coming up on entry burn here. And also one thing I thought was kind of interesting was that whenever it's separated, you can briefly see like all the city lights in Florida. I mean, that's just real cool to me that you could see all that. I mean, honestly, when you're 200 miles up, you expect to see that. But that's what was really cool to see on a live stream, like just live. Like that, it's so wild to me. Oh, and it looks like we're about to start entry burn here. Any second now. Oh, and those are the cold gas thrusters. I'll explain those in a second. We should be coming up on entry burn. That might actually be plasma. I'm not sure. I think that might actually be plasma. And there we go. We have engine start. So anyway, those cold gas thrusters. So in space, the rocket needs to maneuver itself. So it'll fire these thrusters that way. Because there's no, it's not, I mean, there's a tiny bit of air in space, but it's not much. But anyway, these cold gas thrusters fire. That way, the rocket can orient, that first stage can orient itself in space. It looks like we just got past landing burn here. So we should be coming up on the landing burn in just a second, and we should be able to see this booster land on the drone ship. Oh yeah, if you're actually, that's kind of cool. You don't see it all that often. So that kind of white trail that you see on that grid fin, that's plasma. Like, this thing is going thousands of miles an hour, or thousands of kilometers per hour, and it's physically deconstructing the air molecules, causing that hot plasma to form, and that's what you can see on that grid fin. So, yep, within the next few seconds, we should be seeing the landing burn. Here's my 3D printer in the background. Alright, so landing burn should start up right about now. I timed that perfectly. What about that? Ain't that something? And look, you can see those grid fins moving. What about that? And there's the drone ship. We got good views on that. Ooh, that right screen is bright, but oh, that footage is smooth. Would you take a look at that? Ain't Starlink an amazing thing? That's what SpaceX uses to on their drone ships so that they can land, or that way we can see them land. SpaceX did that for us. Well, and also probably for a bit of telemetry too, but they did that for us. They put Starlink on their drone ships. That way, we could have a clear view of the booster landing, and it wouldn't get all interrupted. So yeah, looks like we have reached Seco 1, and that's when SpaceX normally ends these streams. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed this episode, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching the G-Force.